let's take a look at 5 simple steps we can take to empower ourselves as leaders. First of all, tap into your personal power. Number 2, say yes to opportunities. 3, tap into your wisdom. 4, remember you are enough. And then 5, remember who you are. I want to share with you 5 simple steps that can empower yourself. You can empower you as a leader. Because that's what I believe empowerment is about. It's not about someone else sharing power or saying we're powerful. It's us knowing that we're powerful. The first of the steps starts with the letter P, because we're going to look at power. 5 letters, 5 simple steps. P. P is for power. Too often, and mostly it is, in the world, we see power as being an external thing. We see it in our world leaders. They are elected to an office. Maybe they take power by force. They've got some military might behind them. Or, we've seen leaders be assassinated and other leaders come up into their place. We see leaders in the business world, usually men, with a lot of money. And it's money that gives them power. So whether it is military might, political might, business power, the power of money, we are so used to seeing power as an external thing, something that you can buy, something that you can force, even something that you inherit. However, if we take a close look at history, we will realise that that type of power, while it can have huge impacts, and we certainly see that in the world at the moment, from Gaza to the US, to the Ukraine, to other areas in the Middle East, social media platforms, so many ways that we see that external power and we wonder if that's the only power there is. Well, I'm here to tell you that that power is actually short-lived. We see empires rise and fall. We see people being assassinated for the sake of power. We see people being held accountable legally for the misuse of their power. That sort of external power is very fleeting, and often those who rely on it do come to a sticky end. Because true power is power that comes from within ourselves, from our character, from who we are, how we show up in the world. And it is that power that is almost eternal. It goes on and it connects us with other people. So the power that is within is the true power, because that is the type of power that gets people doing the things that are needed in the world, the real world changing, life-changing, life-altering things, whether it's people showing kindness in their local community, supporting people with disabilities, whether it's having open arms to refugees, sending aid money into war-torn situations, fostering children, whether it's standing up and advocating for rights for all sorts of different minority groups. It's that internal power, the power within, that is the most powerful and the most important. And it's the power that gets things done. But linked with power within is the power with. The power that we generate as a collective whole. The power that we generate as we connect with people who think like us. People who are like-minded. I often hear that people are like-minded and they want to connect with me because they see me as a like-minded person. I'm someone whose power is from within, and I have power with other people. The power of collaboration, the power of working with other people, tapping into their strengths, valuing what they bring to the table, working with them rather than saying you are lacking. The power that we have within and the power that we have with, that is the most powerful power in the world. O, and O is for opportunity. So often, opportunities do present themselves, but we don't see them as opportunities because we know what we lack. We see that we don't have enough skill. We don't have enough experience. We think, I'm not old enough. We think, oh, maybe I'm too old to be doing this. However, an opportunity is a time to say yes to yourself. Now, you may take up an opportunity and not do as well as you'd like. That does not mean you've failed. It means you've learnt something. You've probably learnt some new skills along the way. You probably have an opportunity to start again. Opportunities that come your way, say yes to them, because what you're doing is you're saying yes to yourself. You're saying, yes, I actually have some skills that I can put into this. Yes, I trust myself to do well at this. I know I can work out things. I know I'm capable of learning. Remember, an opportunity comes when we least expect it. And that's why we sometimes miss them, because we're not looking for them. However, we need to have little opportunity antennas where we always have our ears and eyes open for something new. And it will come in ways that you don't expect. An opportunity might come through maybe a sentence that a friend said, I'll give you an opportunity. And I'll give you an example of an opportunity. Recently, actually just late last year, I was meeting up for coffee with a friend, and I was outlining a new program that I wanted to launch this year. And after I'd outlined it, my friend said to me, Bron, stop playing small. Now that made me sit back in my chair because I didn't think I was playing small, and her words hit me. But because she's a good friend, I listened and I thought, okay. I went home and I played. Yes, I played with ChatGPT. I find ChatGPT is a great thinking tool. I put my ideas in, it comes back with some other ideas. We have this great conversation. And out of that has come a completely new global program and organisation called Mycellatrix. And if you go over to my website, you can find out more about it. And it's about connecting women across the world in their own power. It's because mycelium are fungi, not that saying that women are fungi or mushrooms, but that mycelium are a type of fungi that have the capacity to communicate with each other underground. And I believe that's where women's power lies, in our ability to communicate with each other in ways that other people don't always see. See, for me, this was an opportunity to actually birth something that has been bubbling in me for years, to see how all the content I've been creating for the last 8 years is coming together. But I would not have taken up this opportunity if I hadn't listened, if my opportunity antennas hadn't started to sparkle. So remember, if an opportunity comes your way and you think it's too big for yourself, stop. Take a breath. Ask yourself, what can I bring to this opportunity? What skills do I have? What experience do I have? What wisdom, what insight? Ask yourself, look for, what do I have, rather than noticing the things that you may perceive that you lack. So, in empowering ourselves, first of all, we look at our own internal power and the power that we have together. And then we look at the opportunities and we say yes to ourselves. Step number 3, W, wisdom. I think it's easy for people to assume that I'm wise because I've got grey hair. And I hope I am. I actually believe that I am wise. And what having grey hair says is that I've lived a while. Actually, I've lived nearly 69 years. So it is quite a while. But you don't have to have lived 69 years to be wise. You can be wise at 30. You can even be wise at 20. You are wise when you have learnt the art of connecting the dots. Now, I used to love those connect the dot activities as a child, and when I was a teacher, I would often use connect the dots activities in maths. Children would have to go from one num to another. Because what happens when you connect the dots is you see a hidden picture. And that's what wisdom is all about. It's about seeing the hidden picture in the events that are happening in our lives, in the situation that we're facing, in what's happening now that reminds us of something else. One of the things I love about Agatha Christie's Miss Marple is that so often, and to the frustration of whichever detective on the police force she happens to be talking to at the time, she will say, oh, this reminds me of, and then she'll launch into a little story about something that has happened in her village. Because what Agatha Christie knew, and she was letting us know through her marvellous sleuth, Miss Marple, is that people are the same the world over. A situation that you faced in your life, say years ago, you will come up against a similar situation, or someone you know will. And what you learnt from going through that yourself, you can then offer as wisdom to your friend, your work colleague. You can apply it in your business. Because wisdom comes not from the accumulation of knowledge. If that was the case, then ChatGPT would be the wisest creature on the planet. It's not. It's got lots of knowledge, but it is not necessarily wise, because wisdom is about connecting the dots. It's about making sense of what is going on around us and then being able to make decisions about what we are going to do with that information. So I would really encourage you to develop wisdom. Wisdom needs reflection. We need to give ourselves time to sit back and think about what's happened, try to learn something from it. I always say, if you're going to go through crappy times, and all of us do, I may as well learn something from it. Don't want to waste it. But it's that learning from the difficult times, the crappy times, that gives us wisdom. So W, our third step, develop wisdoms. Learn how to connect the dots. And E is for enough. I am enough. You are enough. We are enough. I hear many, many times people talk about the so-called imposter syndrome. I believe that phrase has been used to keep women in their place. to make us keep doubting ourselves. Self-doubt, particularly in a new situation or an unfamiliar situation, is perfectly normal. That's one thing I really want you to understand. Imposter syndrome implies that the self-doubt that we have is not normal. It's abnormal, that we shouldn't have it. Hello, yes, we should. If you're facing something new, it's perfectly okay to doubt your abilities. It's perfectly okay to maybe even feel a bit anxious. However, we don't have to stay there. But we don't have to fight imposter syndrome. It's not real. We can doubt that we have the capacity to do something. However, if we take a step back, use our wisdom from the third step, use our wisdom, start to connect the dots in our lives and go, where have I faced a similar situation before? How did I do it then? What could I do better? What skills can I take from that? What other roles have I had if it's in a business or a workplace situation? What other roles have I had that is similar to this new one that I've been asked to do, or this position that I'm applying for? Where are the transferable skills? If you have been a mother or are a mother, are still mothering, you have the most huge array of transferable skills into the workplace of any human being on the planet. You have conflict resolution skills, you have budgeting skills, you have time management skills. You have huge transferable skills. No, they don't come with a certificate. However, if you have been a mother for any length of time, you have learnt huge skills that you can take into the workplace. So don't ever let anybody suggest that just because you're returning to the workplace after a break nurturing your children, that you are not enough. You are enough. You actually are more than enough because you have come back to the workplace with more than you left it. I know after I'd had my first son, my background is in teaching and education of smaller children. I was a much better teacher after I'd had my son than before because I actually understood more about children. I had developed skills. No, I did not have a certificate of achievement, but I knew things I didn't know before. I was enough. So remember, you are enough. You are not an imposter. Yes, you may doubt yourself. Perfectly acceptable. But you are completely enough in and of who you are now. Certainly, upskill, learn more skills, take on programs. Because I think learning can be a lifelong thing. But don't ever doubt that you are enough. The fifth step in remembering how powerful we are when we want to empower ourselves is to remember. R is for remember. Remember who you are. You take yourself into every situation. Do you like yourself? Do you trust yourself? Do you have even a small measure of self-confidence? Do you spend time reflecting on the situations that you've faced? Remember who you are. Remember what you've learnt along the way, not just academically or through training programs, but remember what you've learnt as a human being, as you've lived life. Remember the skills that you have developed along the way of how to work with difficult people, how to maybe have that tough conversation. Remember what you've learned about saying no and saying yes and when to do either. Remember who you are. I think it's really easy for us to lose sight of who we are. We are bombarded with so many messages around who we should be, what we could be. Why aren't we this? We should be that. When really what we need to focus on is on who I am, who you are, who we are. Each of us, and I know this is a cliche, oh, there's nobody quite like you, we're all unique. But that's the truth. That's the thing about cliches, is they have a kernel of truth, but they're used so often that we tend to sweep them under the carpet. You are unique. There is no one else like you. Your fingerprints, they're unique. Who you are is an essential part of any workplace. Not because I'm not saying stay in bad ones. I'm just saying who you're bringing. You are important in the workplace. Remember who you are. If you're starting a business, you're in the entrepreneurial space and you're going, what the heck am I doing here? Remember who you are. Remember the skills that you have. But remember too what you've faced, what you've been through. And if you've lived more than 2 or 3 decades, you have probably faced some pretty tough times, because that's the lot of human beings, is we do face difficult times. And we have thrived. You have survived. I have survived. You are thriving. I am thriving. Remember what you faced. Remember what you have got past, what you have walked through, what you have climbed over, what you have created again. Remember what you faced. Remember how you've succeeded. And don't measure it just in money or fame or position or external power. Remember those times when you helped a friend. You succeeded as a friend. Remember those times that you gave some money to that homeless person or bought them a coffee. You succeeded in being kind. Remember those times when you decided to sponsor a child or send money to bushfire victims. You succeeded at thinking of someone other than yourself. There are so many ways we succeed as people, but often we have to remember that, because we pass them off as just the normal, ordinary parts of life. So remember who you are. Remember what you faced. And thirdly, remember how you have succeeded in living life, in surviving, and in thriving. Remember who you